First introduced in 1961 as Gibson's innovative follow-up to the Les Paul, the Gibson SG quickly revolutionized the music world. It had a thinner, more contoured body than the massively popular Les Paul, and a double cutaway design that made the upper frets more accessible. With the neck joint being moved outwards by 3 frets and an overall more slender neck profile, it was advertised at the time as having the fastest neck in the world. With its double cutaway invoking the image of devil horns, the SG has become an instantly recognizable symbol of rock, metal, and heavy music just in general. Ask any rock fan whether they play guitar or not, who are the first 3 people that come to mind when they see this model, and the majority will immediately give you these names: Angus Young of AC/DC, Tony Iommi of Black Sabbath, and Kurt Cobain of Nirvana. Okay, calm down everyone, that was obviously a joke. Kurt Cobain will forever be associated with the Fender Jaguar and Mustang, arguably as one of the most famous and influential Fender offset players. But for a very brief time towards the end of the Bleach era, Kurt could be seen wielding a very rickety and borderline trashy looking Gibson SG Standard. Its large tape globs giving the impression that it might fall apart at any second mid-song. When I say it was seen for only a brief time, I really mean it. It's only known to have been used for 6 weeks in early 1990, yet it holds a special place in the Nirvana story as the oddball lone Gibson guitar that was played by someone who would go on to become one of Fender's biggest modern heroes. But before its brief stint with Kurt, this SG belonged to another noteworthy guitarist, leading a completely different life before becoming immortalized as a brief yet iconic piece of the late Bleach era. In this video, we will be looking at the complete story of this Gibson SG, retracing its story before Nirvana to how it came into Kurt's possession and the very DIY mods he did to it. I will also be showing you how I had this little known grunge relic replicated by introducing my KC SG, a modern build that I'm proud to say is nearly as accurate as it can get. No detail was overlooked, and I'll show you in depth all the mods that went into this guitar. Our story starts when a Boston-based musician named Sluggo Crawley bought a 70s Gibson SG Standard in August of 1988. All the information here discussed in Chapter 1 comes directly from Sluggo's book Guitargonaut and from his brilliant online article, Kurt Cobain, Still Taking Care of His Friends. I got in touch with Sluggo himself and he graciously sent me a passage of his book and all the pictures that you'll be seeing in this section of the video. Thank you so much, Sluggo, for your time and generosity in sharing your memories and photos with me. Without you, it is impossible to tell the complete story of this SG. His book is available on Amazon and I'll link it right here so you can check it out. Up until August of 1988, Sluggo had been playing a 1969 Fender Telecaster, but he felt like it was time to get a more rock electric guitar. He bought this 70s Gibson SG Standard at Cambridge Music Center in Cambridge, Massachusetts. He really liked how light and easy to play the SG was, particularly how narrow the neck was. He spray painted his SG and scratched in writings from Jenny Holzer, a feminist neo-conceptual artist. The guitar went on to see a fair amount of abuse, with Sluggo rubbing it on ceilings and mashing it into monitors. To quote Sluggo from his book, "I don't think I changed any pickups in it, though I know I always used Seymour Duncan Distortion SH6N pickups. The SG had Grover tuning pegs. I didn't have any additional work done on the guitar. I played this guitar all across the USA for the next 10 months. On June 17, 1989, Sluggo's band Hula Baloo played at the legendary CBGB's in New York City. He finished the set by leaping off the stage, which resulted in him landing on a few tables, breaking them and shattering some beer glasses. As he staggered up, he realized his SG Standard was now in 2 pieces. His elbow was also massively bleeding, so he headed out to get stitches at the hospital. After that chaos all settled, upon arriving back to his apartment in Watertown, Massachusetts, Sluggo nailed the now broken SG over his living room couch. It would only be up there for 1 month. A month later, on July 15th, 1989, Nirvana played at the Green Street Station in Jamaica Plain, Massachusetts. This is the only Nirvana show where Kurt Cobain did not play guitar at all. He had smashed his natural Phase 3 Univox High Flyer 2 days prior on July 13th and wasn't able to find a replacement in time. As a result, Jason Everman took over all the guitar duties for this show. Sluggo and his band manager, JJ, were at this show. Hula Baloo had a connection to Sub Pop Records. Daniel House, the bassist of Skinyard, worked at Sub Pop, and both Skinyard and Hula Baloo were on Toxic Shock Records out of Tucson, Arizona. Thanks to this connection, Nirvana spent the night at Sluggo and JJ's apartment. The next morning after breakfast, Kurt and Sluggo were sitting on the couch listening to Hula Baloo's recent demo when Kurt turned to Sluggo and asked if he could have the broken SG that was hanging above them. Sluggo asked why, to which Kurt said it didn't look too badly broken and that he could fix it up to smash it later himself. Sluggo recalls that Kurt had brought some rudimentary tools and glue to repair guitars while on the road. Sluggo then said, "Okay, I guess, but I kinda like having a smashed guitar on my wall, you know." Kurt then suggested he could give him a broken guitar of his own, so Sluggo could replace his living room wall art. Sluggo agreed, which prompted Kurt to grab the van keys from Chris and hurry out to grab his trade offering. Kurt returned with a 1973 Sunburst Fender Mustang that was in 3 pieces, being held by duct tape. Kurt said, "This one is too damaged for me to fix." He had smashed it beyond repair a couple nights before in Wilkinson, Pennsylvania on July 9th. As Sluggo himself puts it, in a bit of mock Guitar Hero worship, he asked Kurt to sign the Mustang. Kurt wrote on it, "Yo Sluggo, thanks for the trade. If it's illegal to rock and roll, then throw my ass in jail. Nirvana." He also wrote Vox pickup with an arrow on the pickguard along with 2 flowers. Kurt said he would dedicate a song to Sluggo when he smashed the SG and would tell him where the next time he saw him. The SG makes its Nirvana debut 6 months later on January 6, 1990 at the University of Washington in Seattle. The iconic photos captured that night by legendary photographer Charles Peterson are in large part why the SG holds a fabled place in the Bleach story. One of the photos went on to be used in the inner sleeve of the cassette release of Bleach. This is currently the clearest footage we have of Kurt playing this SG, and the pictures tell quite the story. It went through a total and complete transformation, bearing no resemblance to its past life. The body was painted light blue, which was not a new trend for Kurt at all, and he'd also go on to paint more guitars blue. It seems like the back of the body, even the control plate, was painted blue. We can tell by the lack of paint on the neck and the bits of Sluggo's color on the front of the body at the neck joint that the body was likely painted blue by itself and then the unpainted neck glued in. Sluggo's writings seem to have been wiped clean even from the front of the headstock, but whatever was written on the back remained. The other most obvious visual change is all the tape. There's 4 white strips of tape that can be seen on both the front and back, and a large tape glob above those on the upper bout, and also a glob holding down the pickup switch. We don't really have any sort of reason or explanation as to why all this tape was added. My guess is that it was simply holding a broken guitar together. The knobs and controls have been rearranged in a way that I can't really explain. Maybe because of the damaged holes, the input jack has been moved to where one of the tone knobs would have been. The master volume remains, but now with a different style knob. A single tone pot remains, but no knob. And the input jack's original spot and the closest knob to it now appear to have been left as empty holes. The original 70s Gibson standard stoptail and large harmonica-style tunomatic bridge remain. The bridge pickup appears to be a recycled Univox Phase 3 humbucker. Again, not a new thing for Kurt to reuse high flyer pickups in non-Univox guitars. I've seen some places online say that the neck pickup cavity was left empty, but these photos tell another story. There appears to be some sort of black single coil mounted in the neck position with no pickup or mounting ring. After talking to both Nirvana guitar tech Ernie Bailey and Sluggo about this guitar, we all 3 agree that what would make the most sense is if this single coil came from the Sunburst Mustang that Kurt traded for this SG. This single coil pickup is the most confusing part for me. Why go through the work of installing a neck pickup if you're going to tape down the switch to permanently be in the bridge position? It'd be fascinating to know if the neck pickup was actually wired or not, but we'll probably never know for sure. It also appears that both strap pins were moved. While there are multiple ramshackle Bleach era guitars, I think this one easily takes first place for the most rickety and most punk rock of the bunch. Kurt told Sluggo he was going to put it back together for the purpose of smashing it, and he kept his word on that. It wasn't smashed at its first show on January 6, 1990, but Kurt and Chris actually ended up getting banned for life from all University of Washington venues for destroying so much gear at this show. It's seen again 2 weeks later on January 19th at the Rignall Hall show. And as far as what we have available to us at the time of me recording this video, the next time it is seen is a month later on February 17th at Iguanas in Tijuana, Mexico for its final show. In a great bit of accidental foreshadowing, the SG is actually pictured on the show poster for that night. There's some really great multi-angle footage from this night that gives us a front row seat to this SG's destruction. Like I said, Kurt seems to have kept his word to Sluggo that he repurposed this guitar specifically to smash it. It seems to have only lasted for 3 shows in Nirvana, a total of 6 weeks. The only time it could have maybe been in the studio with Kurt would have been at the January 2nd and 3rd, 1990 sessions at Reciprocal Recording in Seattle, where the band devoted 10 hours to record the first studio version of Sappy. That version is on the Sliver Best of the Box album. These sessions took place just days before the guitar was first seen live on January 6th. It's a complete shot in the dark, as at that show we can clearly see Kurt had other guitars to choose from at that time, but the timeline suggests that the possibility is there. The last time Sluggo saw Kurt was in April of 1990, where he told him he had smashed the SG in Tijuana. Fast forward to 2006. Sluggo and his wife found themselves in financial trouble and on the brink of bankruptcy when, out of the blue, he received a 6-digit offer for the autographed Mustang Kurt traded him. He decided to sell the Mustang at the time for $100,000. Here's a quote from his article titled, "Kurt Cobain Still Taking Care of His Friends." At the time, this was the second highest price paid for a piece of Kurt Cobain memorabilia. I remember buying Guns N' Roses' Chinese Democracy CD. That was the only thing I used the guitar money for, other than paying off our $1,100,000 credit card debt. I've often thanked Kurt in my mind for ridding my family of credit cards. To this day, I do not have one. I truly believe that he would have approved. I can almost hear Kurt saying, "Shit, if some dumbass wants to give you that much money for a pile of broken wood, then go for it." In 2022, the signed Mustang hit the auction block again, selling for close to $500,000 via Julian's Auctions. As for Sluggo and Kurt's SG, it has not been seen since the February 1990 Tijuana show. Sluggo read on an online forum that someone in the crowd at that show snagged the broken SG and left with it. So really, it could be anywhere now. If we all start talking about it more and give this forgotten Bleach relic a spotlight, maybe the stars will align and this extremely Frankenstein Kurt Cobain guitar will surface somewhere somehow. We would all love to see it. This is my KC SG, my build of Kurt Cobain's Bleach Gibson SG. If you guys have been following my channel, then you'll know that my heart belongs to Fender. I haven't really discussed Gibson guitars here on the channel at all, but I have always loved the SG. It's the only Gibson shape I've ever desired, and I blame that on Black Sabbath and Tony Iommi. So when I was planning out this build, a big obstacle right away in the beginning was how was I going to get an SG body with that light blue color? So initially, I was looking into SG kits and spray painting them myself. That thought honestly terrified me because I have never painted a guitar. I've never done anything remotely like that, and there's an entire process that's an art of its own, so I was really worried it would just come out looking terrible. But then I found this Epiphone SG tribute model, and on Epiphone.com as an online exclusive, they were selling it in this aqua finish. When I found this guitar, I was like, this is almost too good to be true. This guitar is begging to be modded into a Kurt Cobain SG. I mean, it checks off all the boxes. It has a great light blue color. The neck goes all the way up to the neck pickup as opposed to having that little plate in between like most Gibson SGs now have. It has dot inlays that can easily be covered so I wouldn't be stuck with the trapezoid inlays. And even the design on the headstock, it's reminiscent of the 70s Gibson SG standards with just the logo and the crown. So I bought this guitar through Epiphone's website to get the online exclusive aqua color, and I never saw it in its stock form. I had it shipped straight to my guitar tech, Jeff. And there are truly no words for me to put into how much Jeff exceeded all of my expectations for this. He went so above and beyond for every single detail. Whenever I present to him a really crazy build idea that I feel like most techs would say no to, he's like, yes, let's do it. So Jeff, dude, this one is for you, man. I will never, ever be able to thank you enough for all the work you put into this. You made it perfect. Thank you for everything. So let's talk about the complete transformation and all the mods of my SG. First of all, I want to give a big shout out and thank you to Guy Kurt. They reached out to me right around the time I was starting to do research for this build. So I was looking around and I saw that they had the SG harmonica style bridge, which was going to be essential for this SG because that's the type of bridge that Kurt's Gibson SG standard would have had because it was from the 70s. So I told Guy Kurt about my very crazy idea. I was like, hey, I'm going to get an SG. I'm going to have it modded to be that very run down Kurt Cobain SG he used briefly, and your harmonica bridge would be perfect for it. So they sent it out to me. I received it really quickly and the bridge is awesome. It's high quality. It completely looks the part. It's just a personal preference thing, but I just think toms look really cool when they're this big. So once again, thank you so much, Geiker, for reaching out, for supplying this bridge. It really means a lot, and it was perfect for this build. The bridge pickup is from my Eastwood Phase 4 High Flyer. I recently upgraded my High Flyer to have Curtis Novak Phase 3 pickups, and that was a massive upgrade for that High Flyer. But I've also always loved the sound of the Eastwood Univox copy pickups. I've never had a problem getting Bleach or pre-Bleach era tones using the Eastwood humbucker, so I was really happy to be able to reuse it in this build because it's honestly a really great pickup. The neck pickup is a single coil from a Fender Mustang, and the thing I'm most surprised about when it comes to this guitar is how well these two pickups pair together in the middle position. I know this is supposed to be like a super bleachy, grungy guitar, but the cleans in the middle position, they're really awesome. Jeff rearranged the controls to perfectly match Kurt's, even adding these two damaged looking holes. And of course, the most obvious visual feature, this massive tape glob with the white tape under it. When Jeff and I were initially planning out the build, I had said to him, hey, I'm not going to make you duct tape the guitar. Don't worry about that. I'll do it when I get it. And he was like, oh, I was actually kind of excited to do it. Can I do it? And I was like, oh, sure, yeah, if you want to. And he did such an awesome job. I'm confident that whatever I would have done would not have looked this good. He started with the pieces of white tape here on the front, and of course added the big batch of black tape right over it. It doesn't just end on the front of the guitar. I wasn't joking, guys, when I said that Jeff really took this to the next level and exceeded all expectations. He even matched the tape on the back. I ordered small block inlays that are in the same style of the 70s SG standards. I was initially worried about the 12th fret because it has the wider spaced dots and the inlays weren't going to cover that. When I brought that up with Jeff, he was like, the 12th fret? Don't even worry about that, I've got you covered. So again, he went above and beyond. With the 12th fret, he took out the inlays and filled and covered those holes. He made it super discreet. It's something you'll only notice if you're looking at it really close up front. And that's not a complaint at all, don't get me wrong. This was a phenomenal workaround. The 12th fret looks great on this. When it comes to the tape on the switch, Jeff did ask, do you want me to tape that section too, or should I leave it untaped so you can actually hear the neck pickup? I'm all for accuracy, so it's really tempting for me to say just tape it, but I did want to hear how the neck pickup sounded, so I was like, no, send it without the tape there. And I'm happy that I did, because the neck pickup actually sounds really great in this guitar. I feel like I'd be missing out if I just never heard how it sounded. So for me to still be able to use it, I taped down this section in a way where the switch is still movable. In my opinion, I was able to get it looking pretty discreet, where if you're looking head on to the guitar, you wouldn't notice that the switch is still sticking out. But when I'm playing it, looking down at it, it's obvious I see the knob sticking up, but I have the look and I still have the capability to switch between the pickups, so I'm happy. So while the inlays are spot on, there are some parts of my neck that are historically inaccurate. Mine has binding and Kurt's did not. And also the back of the neck on mine is aqua. And as we talked about in the history section of this video, Kurt did not paint the back of his neck. This is an area I was willing to sacrifice in though, because aesthetically, I just really like how the back of the neck looks in this aqua finish. And the back of the headstock too. I just think it looks so nice to have everything matched like that. So that part of it is not like Kurt's, but basically everything else is. So I'm also happy with that. Another reason I didn't want to switch the neck out is the headstock design being really similar to the 70s Gibson SG standard. Those headstocks are pretty plain, just Gibson and the crown logo, and this Epiphone has that same look. And don't worry, I'm going to cover the truss rod cover. That's the one part where I really decided to step out of the box and just have some fun with it. I've done many Nirvana inspired builds, and this was the first time where I was like, I could get a truss rod cover with something written on it. What should I do? None of my other builds called for that. None of my other builds had truss rod covers I could play around with. So I thought KC SG had a nice ring to it. I got it in the Nirvana Onyx font. Might be cheesy, might be cool, might be somewhere in between, but I like it. I finally have my first SG, a body shape I've been wanting for a long time, but of course this is Nirvana guitars, so I had to make it Nirvana related somehow, and it worked out perfectly. So stay tuned, because even though Kurt didn't use this SG very much, there's not a lot of ground to cover tone-wise. You'll still be seeing this guitar all over my channel being used in different ways. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something new about Sluggo / Kurt Cobain's 70s Gibson SG standard. Be sure to hit subscribe for more weekly Nirvana gear videos, and I'll see you in the next one.